Everybody, everybody come together, try to love one. I don't know why I always sing that when I start my videos. It just comes to me. How's everybody doing? So, I had the most fun, fantastic day at work, and I just wanted to share it in a video with everybody. How there's a lot of woke people in the world. So, I had two colors today, one at 12, one at 12:30. And one's a physician and one was a psychiatrist. Here's little old me, hairstylist. And they actually both came back to me for the deep conversations we had when I did them the first time. My physician lady is from India and has studied a lot of the Eastern religions, and she had mentioned to me that she was interested in Shavabu, which is urine therapy, for those who don't know. And I was like, oh, I'm actually a little bit experienced in it. I've practiced it on and off for 4 years, actually. In 2018, I started in 2014, I believe. And, told her the success I had with my dog and the success I've had with myself. And actually, she's a rheumatoid arthritis doctor, physician, whatever they are, whatever. That's what she does. And I'm like, urine therapy is like so good for that, especially arthritis and stuff. You can compress it, and it really eases pain and inflammation and so many things. Anyway, and my psychiatrist she's still taking classes at college. She just enjoys going back and taking classes, interesting classes. And her last one was on trauma and all this stuff. And I had talked about, being sexually molested as a little girl, and how the greatest gift to me in my life was the day I literally forgave with every inch of my being and in my heart against those who had done that to me. And I was like, it was the greatest release for me in my life was to wish nothing but love and forgiveness and understanding for those who had hurt me. And she's like, do you mind if I tell my class about you? And da-da-da-da. I'm like, no, that's absolutely fine. I don't mind, at all. I talk about it freely. It's not something I'm ashamed of. It's not something I hide from. It's not anything I'm angry at anybody for. There's life is yin and yang, people. Light and dark, good and bad, black and white. It just is. And anyways, the physician has 3 kids. We were talking about vaccines and da-da-da-da-da, and how, like, when, everybody thinks I'm so anti-vaccine, and I am now. I'm against the amount of vaccines that are given to infants. I'm against the carriers that they use, the thimerosal and embalming fluid, or she said antifreeze, I think is one of the ingredients that's in there, as a carrier agent for the vaccinations. I'm not saying that vaccines in and of themselves are bad. I'm saying what they mix them with as a carrier to give them to our children, and 26 vaccines versus the 6 I got is bad. It's too many. There's no reason to inoculate our babies with poison. And even we can go so far as to the inoculations and the vaccines our pets are given. I have a pitty, and he's 55 pounds. He's by no means a small dog. And, a couple years ago when he went in, they gave him his shots and his rabies and his deworming and everything, like, in one day. And he was sick for 2 days. So I have never gotten him another vaccine since then, just rabies, because of his breed and how large he is. I do get him his rabies shot every year because it's mandatory for me to take him out in public. My Chihuahua, my 5-pound Chihuahua, hell no, she gets nothing, absolutely nothing. And my dogs are healthy, super healthy. And they don't have fleas, and they don't have worms. They don't have any of that shit. They're just healthy dogs. But so my physician from India is she's been over here in the Western world for most of her life, but she does go back to India, and she does practice a lot of the Eastern religions and ancient knowledge and stuff like that. So, I was talking to her about the 160,000 beings that have literally transcended their human meat suits and into their rainbow bodies And a perfect example I'll give you guys of that is, and when they do this, their bodies will shrink down to like the size of an infant from adulthood, or they leave behind just teeth and nails as they transcend into their light body. But if you look at a lot of art that goes back, to the first century AD, CE, whatever you want to call it, and onwards, there are pictures of these rainbow bodies and these light orbs that are around their head and all this stuff and what it does. And so for most of the people watching this video, we're in America, so I'll go with something everybody knows, and that's Jesus. And when they found the shroud, that was the cloth that was wrapped around Jesus, the image that was burnt into the shroud is said to have contained more energy and light than what the sun can produce, than a CME or a solar flare from our sun. It was that intense. And what Jesus did is he transcended his human flesh body, and it ignited into a light body, or his rainbow body. And there's been said to have been about 160,000 documented cases. 160,000 documented cases of this happening throughout history, throughout our ancient texts. And, a lot of people, when I started really reading or studying kind of the Bible, there was so many, what's the word I'm looking for? Hang on. Contradictions in there. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, you will have no other gods before me. And the gods came down from the heavens and had their way with the women of earth and produced the gods of old, our old Zeus and people like that. So what language was it written in? When was it written? Who, deciphered it? Blah, 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 blah. Well, that takes you back to a certain time. Well, if you go back before that, there's other texts. There's the Enuma Elish, and there's other creation stories, the Sumerian creation stories, and Sumerian, creation stories, and there's the Emerald Tablets and the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Nag Hammadi, the Essene, the Kabbalah, the Talmud. There's so many ancient texts on this planet besides just the Bible. But when you take them all and you notice this common theme in them, and the common theme is telling you kind of the story of creation, the 7 beings, 7 days, light, dark, day, night, all these things, the land, the sea, the creatures that were created. There's these 7 beings that were responsible for creation. It goes a little bit more in depth. And if you just want to read the Bible, yippee skippy, good for you. I am not okay with just that. I want to read what was here before the Bible. I want to know what language it was written in. I want to know who interpreted it, who the hell interpreted it and decided what to put in these texts for us. So, we're sitting here, and I'm in between a physician and a psychiatrist, and the conversations, this is what we're talking about. And she's like, we live in a matrix, blue pill, red pill. And I'm like, oh my gosh, exactly. I said, and then we started talking about vaccines and everything else, and she brought up the fluoride issue, and I'm like, oh my God. She's like, it's a neurotoxin and it's in our water. I'm like, sure, Hitler did it to keep them calm, to be able to control them better, to keep them blue pilled, asleep, non-confrontational, easier to control, easier to manipulate, easier to brainwash. And I said, I make a lot of posts, or I was making a lot of posts about fluoride or vaccines or da-da-da-da, and I get so much shit. I get so much, vaccines are good, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm not saying it's only this way. I'm saying, and the people that are bickering with me about it are people I personally know in my life. I've known some since I was a child, some as I was a young adult. And they're people I love. They're people I cherish their opinion. I think they're very intelligent people, highly intelligent people. And here's where I think is what's happening. that everything has to be a bickering or an argument or a side. Everybody has to be on a side. I'm not posting those to argue. I'm not posting those to bicker. I'm posting them to say, if you are pro-vaccine or pro-fluoride or pro-this, just take an hour, maybe 2, and read or watch the links I'm posting that are peer-reviewed by scientists and doctors and people that are, well-respected in the field, that are presenting evidence that's quite the opposite of what people are sticking up for. And so I'm not saying they're wrong and I'm right. I'm not saying that. We all have our own perspective. You have to take what resonates with you and throw away the rest. I'm just saying that if there's a possibility, it might be right. Don't you owe it to your children or your grandchildren or your great-grandchildren, to the people you love, just to take a little bit of time out of your life and read about it, watch a video about it, that there might be some truth to it? I only post those things because it's free knowledge, and I just want those who still believe in those things, that they're good, to maybe do a little research on their own to see if that is true. So here's these. I get a lot of flack when I do videos. You're smoking. Well, all right, bitches. Years ago, the doctors that everybody say are so great, doctors know best. The doctors will tell you the vaccines are awesome. The doctors will tell you the fluoride's awesome. You go get your flu shot. You go drink your fluoride water. You go brush your teeth with fluoride and get your fluoride treatments at the dentist with the skull and bones on it that says do not ingest. You go do all that, but don't you dare bitch at me for my cigarettes, because years ago, the doctors are the ones that said cigarettes are good for you. The doctors are the ones that said they're a cure for anxiety. The doctors stood behind them on commercials and everything else and promoted smoking. They smoked in the doctor's office when you went to visit them. Handed you a cigarette. Sit down, smoke with me. Let's talk about the issues. Talk about the issues you're having. Now, I'm not saying smoking's good for you. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that. I'm saying that when my mom was a little girl, the doctor said the cigarettes were good for you. But what happened? People started voicing their opinion. People started doing research. People started finding out maybe that's just not true. And now cigarette sales are down immensely compared to what they were even in the 80s. A lot of children don't smoke, have never smoked. Parents don't smoke in the house. It is what it is. All I'm saying is maybe there will come a time that we'll find out these vaccines weren't so great for us. This fluoride was not great for us. That's all I'm saying. If this can change, other things can change. Science is theory, okay? Science, that's all it is. It's theory. And they can prove something today that tomorrow can be disproved and something else be proved in place of that. Science is ever changing. It's an ever changing field of study. It's a theoretical field of study, and it can be proven and disproven time and time again. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just, if you care about your loved ones, and maybe someone who has a little bit of a brain is posting that there is a correlation between fluoride and vaccines and some illnesses, that maybe it's just worth a little bit of your time to do your research, right? That's it. So I had a fantastic awakening day at work. My physician and my psychiatrist and I had a fantastic day talking about all our red pill stuff. And it turned out that I'm A negative. The psychiatrist was A negative and the physician was O negative. So I said, then I told them a little bit about negative blood and the history behind that. And we all have low body temps. We all have low blood pressure. And there's so many things. I'm like, there's so many things that, negative blood has in common. But I got 10 seconds left on this video. So I leave you with love and light. Keep your peace together and have a great weekend. Bye.